Hello, BookTube. I've got a tiny bit of mail for you today, just a couple of packages that I remembered not to open. On an absolutely gorgeous Tuesday, it is this week, all the first part of this week is a call back to summer, is what it feels like, because technically summer is coming to an end. We're approaching the end of August. We're approaching Labor Day. But it's been warm and sunny and humid. It's going to be even more so tomorrow. The temperatures in Boston tomorrow might get close to 90 for what I believe will be the last time until next summer. I think that a lot of this heat and humidity, a lot of this warm, sticky air is being pushed ahead by a frontal system that I think up until just recently was predicted to give rain. I don't think it's going to rain. I don't think we're going to get any of that. But whether we do or not, the frontal system is real, and the back half of this week is going to be 20 degrees cooler. So I'm absorbing this while I can. I don't consider it uncomfortable at all because I view it as a last hurrah. And it's generally, these are happy days for Steve. Steve needs tech to keep himself happy enough to refer to himself in the third person. And he's getting a relatively steady trickle of tech. If you have any tech that you don't use that still works, feel free to hit me up about it, as the kids say. But the real piece that I want, the piece of technology that I want, is an iPad Mini 6. That's the real thing that I want, with a huge amount of storage. The iPad Mini 6, for some reason, you get two options, either 64 gigs of storage, which is nothing, or 250 gigs of storage, which is everything. I think it's a huge increase in price, but I think I would probably want the 250 gigs of storage in an iPad Mini format. I have an iPad Mini 4th generation that is a pretty good device, but there are a whole bunch of things it won't do. There are a whole bunch of things it won't download, a whole bunch of apps that it won't download. And I like the form factor, so I might want that. That's the next piece of tech that I want. But otherwise, tech is just fine, thanks mostly to generosity of friends. I have an M1 MacBook that is an M1 MacBook Air. It's now about 4 years old, but it's a marvelous improvement over every device I've ever had, so every laptop that I've ever had. And I also have a 12.9-inch iPad, this great big iPad, which I think technically is probably the newest and most powerful machine that I have. I've dabbled with filming videos on this thing. Of course, it has unlimited capacity to do that. It is such a powerful machine. It is such a powerful machine. The problem with the filming videos is not that it runs out of space or anything. It's the awkward camera angle that I can't seem to conquer, even though I know it is conquerable because I know that a lot of people film their BookTube videos on their iPad. Probably on an older iPad than this. I could figure it out. I will keep trying. Maybe you'll see a couple of test videos where I try to do that. That would be really great. If I could, this thing is so new and so powerful that it has no tech issues at all. The M1 MacBook Air doesn't, it's a very new and very powerful machine, but it's a complicated machine. The iPad is meant to make videos and watch them. If I could film videos on it, that would be incredible. If I could do it in a way that looked natural, you know, I don't want you looking up my nose while I'm making videos or anything like that. But I wouldn't have to, with the iPad, I wouldn't have to worry about, it's an iPad Pro, I wouldn't have to worry about sound levels or audio quality or anything like that. I also wouldn't have to worry about background noise because it has a built-in suite of functions to eliminate or dampen background noise that this MacBook does not have. I need to get some sort of editing software to do that. But that's on the tech side. And then the other side of Steve, aside from work and writing and reading and little Frida, aside from those things, which are all going fine, there's another element. There's tech. That's one element. It's largely dependent on other people because I'm a cosseted book reviewer, so I expect that if I want something, someone's going to give it to me for free. I'm not going to go out and buy it like a common bridge troll. And the other element is company. Steve is a frail and lonely little shut-in. He needs company. A relatively steady trickle of visitors to either Boston or Hyde Cottage or both. And that is staying true. So these are good, sunny, warm, humid, happy days for Steve. So let's see what we have for mail. Just a couple of packages, and we will try to remember to look at these things critically. I am desperate need of October finished copies. And also a couple of books, individual titles that I want that I don't have, that for some reason publishers just aren't sending them to me. That's annoying. Okay, here we go. All right, what have we got here? Okay, this is an October finished copy. This is October the 1st. Great. This is the finished copy of the new Robin Waterfield translation of Aesop's Fables. How cool is that? This comes out on the 1st of October. Let's see here. Aesop's Fables are some of the most familiar and best-loved stories of all time. The fables are responsible for originating many English proverbs still used today. Chances are you've heard someone muse that misery loves company, or warn you to look before you leap, or suggest that slow and steady wins the race. Beyond these timeless phrases, the fables have endured due to the messages they impart. Drawing on fantastical metaphors and involving anthropomorphized animals and objects, the world of Aesop delivers a pithy truth, judgment, and lessons about humanity that remain relevant today. And this is a new translation by a translator that a lot of you will know. Robin Waterfield is an extremely experienced translator. So that's great. This is October 1st. I have a feeling this is going to get widely reviewed. I don't know quite yet how to predict the nature of those reviews. Of course, if we're talking about this critically, and you get, let's say you didn't get an advance copy, let's say you get a finished copy you get a finished copy on the 27th of August for an October 1st release. Well, there's no use pitching it anywhere because every book section editor will have planned their coverage long since. They won't be taking ideas for the 1st of October. The only way that you could pitch this, if you get this in the mail and you are interested in it, everyone is interested in it, everyone has had experience with Aesop's Fables, it's a new translation, that's interesting. And a book section editor is going to be interested in that. So apart from the timing, the only way that you could really pitch this would be to write a pitch email, 3 lines, keep in mind, not 3 sentences. 3 lines of prose. That's it. That's all. Don't tell what you're going to do. Don't introduce the work. Don't do anything like that. 3 lines of prose. Your pitch email should have a huge amount of white space at the bottom. But in your pitch, you could pitch this. You wouldn't be expecting to get a yes for an October release in late August. You wouldn't be expecting that. Could happen. It's possible that it could happen. But especially if the book section editor or it's not a book section editor that you'll be pitching. It's the books editor in the arts and entertainment section. There are almost no dedicated book section editors anymore. The editor that you pitch might not care about scrupulous observance of publication date or even publication week. So on that level, you maybe could pitch this to an editor. The other way, probably the better way to think about it would be, if you wanted to pitch this book, would be to enthusiastically pitch a new translation of Aesop's Fables, the first one in decades, of the one ancient work that everyone knows. Probably the more legitimate way to pitch this would be to pitch it knowing that the editor already has October booked, just to get on their radar, to get them to write back and say, well, October's already booked. I like the idea. Maybe we'll do this review in November. It's not going to make that much of a difference. Or maybe we can find something else for you to review. That would be a good approach to this. Knowing ahead of time what you know about timetables, that might be a legitimate approach to this. Because it's not a lie. You would like a yes. You're not just using it as a ploy to get the editor's attention. Of course, getting the editor's attention has become a major climbing Everest-style thing in the 21st century, where suddenly the whole industry believes that no reply is the new not interested, which is a savage, rude lie. Getting a professional email from someone on a professional level that is not a crank at all, and simply not responding to it, simply ignoring it, is you not doing your job as an editor. So you're going in and you're getting paid, and maybe you have a title on the masthead, but what you're doing is proudly not doing your work. And I don't remember the exact date when Americans suddenly started being proud of not doing their work. I don't remember when that happened, but it is now true. If someone in the business world or in the publishing world says, oh, no reply is the new not interested, that is not true. What they are doing is bragging about not doing their job. But if you're lucky, if an editor does write back, well, then that would be one of 2 things. Either they will love the idea and somehow they haven't heard about it, maybe haven't assigned it, but they want to, in which case, great, you're in like Flynn, you'll just do it later, you'll do it for Halloween. Or they're booked and they don't want to review a book late, but they like the idea, they like the fact that you didn't waste their time. Your letter was only 3 lines, not 3 sentences, 3 lines long. And so maybe we can find something else. It's something else. Pitch me something else, but do it for early November or something like that. That would work. Okay, so that's great. It's great for me anyway, because I don't have to worry about those things. I have, in addition to being a print newspaper book section editor, I am one of the only dedicated book section editors left in the country. But in addition to that, I'm also the editor at an online literary journal, Open Letters. A lot of you are familiar with those. A lot of you have written for it. And at Open Letters, we don't care about such things. Not much. I mean, the book has to be new in the sense that it can't have gone into another edition, and it can't have come out in paperback. But if it's still new in that 7 or 8 month window, fine. So I don't have to worry much about that. But other places do. So if you're thinking about pitching it to other places, August 27th for an October 1st release is late. Fantastic. All right. All I had was an invoice for this thing, so we're just going to read from the dust jacket. But this is a finished copy. This is from the folks at Casemate. Fantastic. All right. Well, there won't be any issue about pitching this, because no editor in their right mind will take it. For a general publication, no editor will take it. And there's also no need for Steve to think about pitching this, because I'm going to write about it myself. This is by Natalie Barca, and it is Violence in the Forum. Factional struggles in ancient Rome from 133 to 78 BC. Please tell me that you are going to be heavy noted, heavy critical apparatus, footnotes instead of endnotes. Fantastic. I'd be willing to bet this is the real deal. This is all about Roman violence before Julius Caesar outlawed it. Before he got up at a podium in the Forum and said, "I alone can fix it." So let's read the dust jacket, shall we? This is Casemate. I think this is relatively soon, but I don't know. Okay, this is going to be $35. I don't have a date for it though. But let's see here. The entry of daggers into the Forum, quote unquote, is an expression that identifies two precise historical moments when two tribunes of the plebs, the brothers Tiberius Sempronius Gracchus and Caius Sempronius Gracchus, were murdered in Rome in 133 and 122 amidst bloody riots. These deaths and subsequent events mark the rupture of the constitutional order in the Roman Republic and the beginning of a political crisis. Thus began a political process that would lead over the span of 3 generations to the end of res publica, and the transition of endless violence, ransacking, and destruction, including 3 bitter and bloody civil wars. Internal politics in Rome in this period was fueled by social conflict, the confrontation between 2 political alignments, the optimates and the populares, each headed by an eminent figure and by sectarianism and factional intolerance. It was characterized by speeches delivered in the Senate, in the streets, and in the courts with solemnity and intensity, but equally by the daggers that flashed in the hands of conspirators and assassins. By street riots with thousands of victims, by real or imagined coups d'etat, and with ferocious mass repressions, by summary executions, by victims abandoned to the fury of the mob, of widespread civil wars whose battles intertwined with those against enemies abroad, manhunts, horrendous crimes, the system of legalized killings that aimed at the annihilation of political opponents known as proscriptions, corruption, and brutal and mass killings. This book discusses this tumultuous period in Rome between 133 and 78 BC, covering the plots of the Senate of Rome against the Gracchi and their violent ends, the mysterious death of Publius Cornelius Scipio Aemilianus, destroyer of Carthage, and the ferocious lynching of Lucius Saturninus, the seditious tribune of the plebs, and the civil war between Marius and Sulla, including the siege and capitulation of Rome and Marius' reign of terror, ending with the definitive victory and proscriptions of Sulla, the notorious proscriptions of Sulla. So let's hear about this author. Okay, I said Natalie, but the author's a man, so I'm wondering now if it's Natal. He's a fellow of Society of Antiquities of London. He's also been a visiting scholar researcher at the University of California, Berkeley, and an academic visitor at the University of London's Institute of Classical Studies, as well as being a member of the Society for the Promotion of Roman Studies. He is the author of 16 monographs, many focused on political and military history of late Republican Rome. And Casemate has a few of his books. Rather charmingly, he is pictured with one of them. He's holding Before Augustus in his author photo. But they also have pictures of a few others. And I get the strong feeling that this is basically a monograph. And God bless the folks at Casemate for publishing it, when the approach that's being taken here is of a steep and scholarly nature. It's designed to appeal not only to a general readership, I'm hoping, but also to classicists, actual classicists. And the folks at Casemate have to know that that hurts its chances in the general market. So God bless them for doing this, especially if this turns out to be a kind of monograph. That would be incredible that they decided to publish it anyway in such an attractive form. So I will take a look. I will look online, find out when this is coming out, but it's going on the reading pile for tonight, regardless of when it's coming out. I think it might be out already. But that's all right, as the aforementioned Open Letters doesn't care. So getting this, especially if it's out already, of course, would nix your chances of pitching it anyway. But in addition to that, your chances would be fairly slim. Most of the venues that would take a review of something like this are specialized. Journal of Roman Studies, Military History Magazine, that sort of thing. History Today Magazine, BBC History Magazine. And they tend to have in-house reviewers. So they tend not to be open to pitched reviews of anything. Instead, they get, the tub of books and just give them to their reviewers. See what you can do with this. If it's something you think we should review, then add it to your pile for the next issue or whatever. Gone are the days, unfortunately, where the general American reading public could read something like this with confidence. They've been trained to think they can't. I'm hoping that it's terrific, especially since this guy's written lots of other books. That means he's probably worked out the scholarly bugboos that might make his prose unreadable. I'm not sure that I have ever read him. You'd think that name, I mean, he's gone all the bother of having a Carthaginian last name. You'd think that would, oh, well, it looks like a couple of these books are not his. Yeah, Romans at War is not his. Limits of Empire, Caesar's Greatest Victory. All right, Before Augustus is his. But I wonder, do I get a list of anything else that he's done? Or are you not going to print the titles of monographs? Probably you won't. Oh my God. Oh my God. Look at these. These are the abbreviations of all of the original sources that this guy is using, and you'll notice what's missing from all these abbreviations. You get the abbreviation, and then you get the work. Notice what's missing. Translators are missing, because I'm sure he doesn't use them. I'm sure this is all just himself. Oh, fantastic. All right, well, serious Roman history. There you go. So, actually, a pretty classical mail haul here. We've got Aesop's Fables in a new translation by a great classicist, and Violence in the Forum, about ancient Rome, about violence, starting with the Brothers Gracchi and moving forward all the way to the prescriptions of Sulla, when the gutters of Rome ran ankle-deep in blood. People that just killed because someone wanted their house. That's all. That's all it boiled down to. So great. A classical mail haul. How wonderful. So I'll wrap this up for now. I will try to remember to stockpile unopened mail and open it all on camera. I'll try to remember to do that. But in the meantime, I'll wrap this up, and I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.